Hello guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. I'm Pumila Dwaba, aka Mrs. Mom. Thank you so much for always coming back, and we are growing in subscribers. We're almost on 230,000 subscribers. So if you're not subscribed, please make sure you click the subscribe button. And if you want to know immediately when we post videos, click the notification button. And we're growing our family. I promise there's something for everyone. I am trying to add a little bit of vlogs. It is very challenging for me to vlog because I love to be like in the moment, especially when I'm doing stuff outdoors. So here and there, I try add vlogs. Then we've got the podcast, I Love Journey. It's not just for couples. It's literally for everyone. And then here and there, we've got my sit down videos. And I know consistency has been a bit of a struggle the last quarter. In fact, there's a lot of changes that I'm doing in my career, in my personal space. It all shall be revealed in time, and it's been a little hard balancing everything that I'm doing with YouTube. So I've been doing my best, and I'm glad you guys are still supporting. So today is basically an amalgamation of Pumila Dwaba and Wisdom and Wellness. If you don't know, Wisdom and Wellness is a platform, a community that I started a few years ago where we have challenges. We just started a book club. We basically speak on mental health, in fact, holistic health. Holistic health from your physical health, financial health, mental health. And we have a page on Instagram. You can follow that where we do videos, we post quotes, we have conversations. It's literally a community. In our book club, in the month of March, we read The Alchemist. And the first book that we read was Crazy Faith in January. That we did a live Instagram review. And then the second one was Therefore I Rose by Amanda Dambuza. We're actually having a live event next week. Sorry, tickets already sold out. This is why you need to follow us so you can know, because our events sell out really, really quick. So we have that next week with Amanda Dambuza. We're going to have a live review, going to have a nice chat. It's going to be fun. And then now we've got The Alchemist. And I thought, you know what? This book is so jam-packed. Let's do a YouTube video. And it's also been a bit of a struggle trying to find time to do IG lives, especially in the evenings, because it's my time with my family. So I felt like, I'm compromising. So a YouTube video is kind of the best way. And then this month, we are reading Simplify Your Life. It's about minimalism. Beautiful book. You can get it online or order it at your local bookstore if you want to, and join in, and make sure you follow our page so you know which book we're reading. Now let's get to The Alchemist. So I'm going to do a short little review. This is not a traditional review, basically I'll be sharing the nuggets that I picked up from this book. And honestly, I got this book in 2019, I think I bought it. Just a few months after reading, just when I finished the 5 a.m. club, and I thought, yeah, I'm into these books, self-help books, spiritual books, let me get this. And I opened it and I read like a few pages, and it was just not connecting. Brendan had read it and he didn't get it. He was just like, how do you not enjoy this book? This book is so good. But as usual, I always say books are spiritual. When it's not yet time, it's not yet time. And I put it away. And then this year, I picked it up and I basically ran through it. Like, I finished it so quickly. It was enlightening. It was amazing. I couldn't believe the wisdom and the spiritual guidance that I found through this book, The Alchemist. I even went to check out his interviews, Paulo Coelho, on YouTube. And it's been such an interesting and beautiful journey. And I know a lot of the people who've read the book with Wisdom and Wellness have really related to it. So let us get into our hopefully short review. Firstly, I wanted to start by explaining what alchemy is. Alchemy, as defined in the book, is the magical process of transformation, which for me, it was also confirmation of what God has been telling me. Remember, beginning of the year, I spoke about build your church. God is building me. And from the get-go, I knew that some foundations are going to be shaken. Some changes are going to have to happen. And a whole lot of transformation in me is already happening. If I could start by telling you, you'd be actually amazed. Like, it's as if God was saying, prepare yourself for transformation. And so that's what alchemy is. It's the magical process of transformation. transformation. And I'm just going to read the back of the book about what the book is actually about. It is the story of a shepherd boy from the Spanish province of Andalusia who dreams of traveling the world in search of a treasure as desirable as any ever found. From his home, he journeys to the exotic markets of North Africa and then into the Egyptian desert, where a fateful encounter with the alchemist awaits him. It is an unforgettable story about the essential wisdom of listening to our heart and, above all, following our dreams. And this is something I'm very, very passionate about, listening to your heart, listening to the Holy Spirit, and following your dreams and listening to where life is leading you. So basically, as mentioned, this book is about a shepherd who decides that he's going to travel in search of treasure in Egypt, right? And I want to share the wisdom that I have learned from his journey of searching for treasure. Number one that I got is that everybody has a personal calling. And what is this personal calling? It is God's blessing. It's the path that is chosen for you on earth. And what it does is it makes each one of us enthusiastic about life. Now, it's easy for us to think a personal calling is your job. It's something you have to be doing to earn a living, or personal calling is a stage or a microphone or a certain platform. But it doesn't always have to be that. And nobody else can know what your personal calling is. Only you can know what your personal calling is. How do you find your personal calling? By taking time out, getting to know yourself. In fact, getting to know God. And that's why in everything that I'll talk about, I'll always emphasize the importance of having a relationship with God, having a relationship with yourself, taking some time out in nature. One of the biggest reasons I'm still 5 a.m. club is because in that morning stillness, that quiet time when nobody's emailing, texting, everybody's asleep, I hear my thoughts the loudest, I hear God the loudest, and in those moments have I gotten all, I could say, the ideas that have led me to different spaces of my life. So that is a personal calling. It's God's blessings, the chosen path for you on earth. Emphasis on chosen path for you by God. Sometimes this path, I think a personal calling is not necessarily what we think, I need to be this, I need to be this. And that's why it's important to take time out to fully listen. God, what desires do you have for my life? What plans do you have for my life? So that I can be aligned with them. So some of us miss our personal calling because we don't take time to be still, and we constantly fed information through YouTube, Instagram, television of what other people are doing, and then we start taking on other people's callings as opposed to finding our own personal calling. And in your personal calling, you will be confronted with some obstacles. There's 4 obstacles. Number one, the first one is that everything is impossible. The older we get, as young children, we think, I can do anything, I can be anything. Currently, my kids think they're ballerinas and Spider-Mans, and it's exciting, But the more they get older, the more they come across people who tell them, no, there's no such thing. You can't fly, you can't do that. And that's how we start approaching life, that everything is literally impossible. So we grow up from being faithful people, children who believe in the greatest of things, and then life happens, people happen, hurt people happen, and we end up thinking nothing is possible, everything is impossible. So your dreams just plummet. Number 2, love. This is an obstacle in finding your personal calling because you don't want to hurt the people that you love. For instance, I always like to make an example with my own life. I felt called to leave the degree that I was in, and I knew that I'm going to disappoint my parents, but it was one of those decisions I made for myself. I said, you know what? I love them, but this is just too important. And of course they were disappointed, but the most important thing is that those who love you want to see you happy. And that's what the book shares, that those who love you want to see you happy, they want to see you free, and they will not hold you back and hold you down just so that you can please them. So yes, you will hurt some people, but if they love you, they will learn to live with your decisions and support them. Number 3, the fear of defeat. We all fear failing, and the book talks about we fear failing because then you'll have an excuse. You don't have the excuse of saying, I didn't really want it. So if you don't try, you at least have the excuse of, I'm not really interested. You can find reasons and excuses. But if you fail and you really, really wanted something, then you've got no excuses. You just basically have to sit with the defeat. And then the last one, realizing the dream. This is quite a huge one for a lot of people. It's actually the idea of your dreams or your vision actually coming to life can be so scary that you think, let me just not try. What if you try and then you've got nothing to live for after that? Those are some of the 4 obstacles that you can come across when you follow your personal calling and you follow the vision and the dream. Let me go to some pages. I'm going to go to page 10 here, which I marked, and I'm going to read a little snippet. And it says here, it's the possibility of having a dream come true that makes life interesting, he thought as he looked again at the position of the sun and hurried his pace. Have you ever gotten in a place where you're no longer excited about anything? You basically just wake up and do the same thing over and over. And I think most times the reasons why we get there is because we've just stopped dreaming, just stopped hoping, and stopped looking forward to doing something new. It's so easy to fall into the trap of, like the boy, he was a shepherd. He knew what his sheep wanted. He knew how his sheep worked. He knew what time they eat, what time they sleep. Everything, he had it figured out. It was easy, life was comfortable, but he wanted more, and that's what made life interesting. So we can all stay in the same position. I mean, I'm comfortable where I am, but life right now is knocking and saying, hey, we need to move on. It's time to make some changes, and it's exciting, but it's also scary because you're comfortable here. You know how this works. You're provided for, you're taken care of, but it gets boring. It gets mundane. So what makes life exciting and interesting is the possibility that a dream can actually come true. I spoke about this at a speaking engagement, and I was speaking to a very well-accomplished woman, and one of the questions I asked was, after you got the car, the job, the house, the bag, how exciting was it, and how long did that excitement last? And we all agreed, and they all agreed that the excitement lasts for a short while. So it's not necessarily about the dream, but it's the process of going to achieve the dream. And then we get here to one of the most famous quotes of the book, and it says, "And when you want something, all the universe conspires in helping you achieve it." I know the word universe scares a lot of Christians, but I actually explained this in one of my speaking engagements, and I opened the book of Genesis, where God actually says to man, I am giving you dominion. I am giving you authority over the fish, the sea, the land, over everything, the entire universe. So God didn't say, hey, go worship the universe, go do this. No, he said, I am giving it to you. You have dominion. You name it. So Adam said, hey, you're a lion, you're a cheetah. Water, you do this. You know, he had authority and dominion. And that is what it means to have the universe conspiring to work for you. I'm not saying go ask the universe for things, but remember the authority that God has given you to make there's certain things, and T.D. Jakes once said this, that we want to ask God for chairs and furniture, and God said, but I gave you trees, you know? So it's a principle thing, and that's what this book is saying. God's not going to come down and make your dreams come true, but he's given you the tools and everything, but you have to realize it, and you have to believe it. And so even with this boy, as he decided to embark on his journey, he had to remember and believe that really the universe, everything around me is working for my dreams to come true. All right, and then we're going to go and jump to page 65. This is now as his journey had taken place. So I'm going to start here. He said he still had some doubts about the decision he had made. This is now after he had left and sold his sheep and embarked on the journey. But he was able to understand one thing. Making a decision was only the beginning of things. When someone makes a decision, he's really diving into a strong current that will carry him to places he had never dreamed of when he first made the decision. When I decided to seek out my treasure, I never imagined that I'd wind up working in a crystal shop, he thought. And joining this caravan may have been my decision, but where it goes is going to be a mystery to me. And I just wanted to touch on decision making. some of us are so scared of making decisions. We're so scared of trying, of just deciding, I'm going to start, or I'm going to stop, I'm going to let go, or I'm going to continue. And we spoke in one of our podcasts with Brendan that by not making a decision, you've actually made a decision. If you don't follow your dreams, if you don't decide to do something about your personal calling or the desire in your heart, you have actually made a decision to not follow your dreams, and you think you're still sitting there. So this boy, he obviously left and sold his sheep, and he was going to find his treasure. And in his mind, I can't believe that he thought it's just going to be a linear process. I'm just going to go out there and just going to arrive. However, that's not how it happened. After he made the decision, it's as if everything just said, okay, let's get working. The process starts now. Let's carve you into the person you're meant to be. He got challenged. Firstly, he got stolen from the get-go. And I can imagine he probably thought, I should rather go home. At home at least I know I won't be stolen from. But he had to continue. He ended up working at a crystal shop. And at the crystal shop, he made so many changes, and so much character was built in him. And that is why it is so important to make the decision to say, okay, I am doing this, so that the process of change can start. My worry is always if I, for example, post a picture at the gym and then people say something like, oh, this is so inspiring, one day I will also do that. No, it's not that deep. You just have to get out of bed, try, and do what you need to do. So whatever your dreams look like, whatever calling you have, whether big or small, significant or whatever, it just all starts with making a decision. What follows after is a mystery, but it's also a process. And after you've made the decision to say yes to your dreams, you can never ever be the same again. And just like the shepherd boy, before he even made it to Egypt, he was already to the pyramids. He was already a changed boy based on all the experiences that he encountered. All right. So as you can see, there's a lot of beautiful principles that are also. I felt like these are very aligned to the biblical teachings that I've come across. Then we go to page 68. This is one of my favorites. And this is now when they are in the desert and they're traveling in the caravans. And this sentence says, in the desert, disobedience means death. And how I translated it is, once you say yes to the call of life, once you say yes to God's will and God's way for your life, disobedience is a no-no. Because once you say, God, use me for your will, I'm going your way, your direction, God will put you in rooms you never could have imagined. But sometimes he will need to take you out of there as well. And if you are disobedient and decide to stay because it's too good, it does more harm than you can imagine, not only for yourself, but the people around you. I'll always make an example with the story of Jonah, who was swallowed by a big fish. And before he was swallowed by a big fish, he was running away from God's call, and he ended up in a boat that caused everybody in that boat to suffer. Those people did not have to suffer the storm they did, but because one person was disobedient, everybody had to suffer. So it's so important that once you say, yes, God, yes to your will, yes to your way, yes to my calling, you have to be obedient in the little things and obedient in the small things. And then we're going to hop on right to page 71. And it's just at the bottom, such a beautiful passage that says, no matter how many detours and adjustment it made, the caravan moved toward the same compass point. Once obstacles were overcome, it returned to its course, sighting on a star that indicated the location of the oasis. When the people saw that star shining in the morning sky, they knew they were on the right course toward water, palm trees, shelter, and other people. This is a fact. In fact, it's very unavoidable. If you are going on a course of following your dreams, following your passion, following your personal callings, there are going to be detours. You can't avoid them. Things are not going to automatically fall into place. And that's why when you read stories of the greatest history makers, Muhammad Ali, Oprah Winfrey, Nelson Mandela, Kobe, these people have like life hasn't been easy, and that's why their stories always sound like heroic stories. But we all have that story in our, when we decide to take on our personal calling and our personal path, because there's going to be detours, and in those detours and in those scary places, that's where you learn character that will sustain you once you've achieved your goals, and so that you can continue and continue. Right, and then in page 110, I'm not going to read this one, but it basically speaks about how you already have everything that you need to find your treasure. And this goes back to a video I did years ago about what's in your hands. And it's about literally saying, what's the next thing God has told me to do? What's the next thing life needs me to do? I spoke about it in the beginning of the year as well. For some of us, it's to stop, do less. For some, it's do more. For some, it's get up. For some, it's commit, be consistent, just do it. You know, there's different. We all have to listen to our personal voice. Like, we all have to find our space and find out where we are. Because what this message could be for me is completely different for you in whatever stage of life or place in life you're at. But it's important that you take that time out to find out what is needed. But it's important that you don't look from validation everywhere else or tools everywhere else, but you start with, what do I have? The most practical example is, I need to start a YouTube channel. What do I need? Just pick up your phone. The same device that you're using to watch other people's YouTube videos or to ask, use that. Start with that, and then life will lead you, and the resources will come. It's really inevitable. One of my favorite things Amanda actually said when we were on her retreat, she was talking about obstacles and making decisions, and she said it so lightly, and she said, you will always make money. It's a fact of life, you know? And so I've held that even in my decision making, and I want you to hold that you'll always be provided for. You will always have resources as long as you stick the course and make the decisions. But if you don't make decisions, then everything around you cannot work for you. So page 120 said, they were looking only for gold. They were seeking the treasure of their destiny without wanting actually to live out the destiny. And this is something that a lot of our generation wants. We want the glory. We want the things. We want the stage. We want the platform. But do we actually want what it comes with? Because if you want to be a YouTuber, it's not just putting out YouTube videos. It's actually doing the research of whatever your niche is. It's sitting down, doing the recordings. If you want to be an author, it's not just doing book signings and saying, hey, buy my book. It's the process of sitting down and writing and research and study. So here they speak about they seek the treasure without wanting to live out their destiny. So don't make your life about wanting this, the next thing, getting this, the goal, but it's process. Get comfortable with process and actually living life. Page 126 says you will be tested. We've already spoken about that in detours, that it's a given. When you follow your personal calling, when there's transformation happening in your life, you will be tested. Just to close on, what I got from this book is that you need to live your moment fully. Live in the moment and be fully present. I know we already know this. It was a series of being in the moment, being present and listening, and not always rushing to the next, but saying, okay, I'm here now. What's required here? And another thing that I wanted to mention that was quite an important, interesting point for me was talking about the omens, or omens, however you pronounce it, throughout the books. And when Paulo was asked in an interview, he said it's the individual language that God talks to you, and you have to listen to it. God speaks to us differently, but he speaks to you at the level of your faith, but you need to be listening. Are you going to make some mistakes? Of course. Are there going to be some detours? Of course. But it's not about the treasure. It's about who you become in the process. And that is what The Alchemist is about. It's the magical process of transformation. I don't think you can read this book and be the same. So it's not about all going for the same goal, but it's all about listening, growing, transforming, and being in the moment. So I hope you enjoyed this. There was a lot of information. I tried to package it really nicely. I hope it was helpful. Let me know what you thought of the book. And yeah, thank you so much for listening and joining in. Lots of love. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share the video.